Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode on the Cerebral Cricketer Podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest on the show. Mark Cosgrove is a left-handed batsman, was named Bradman Young Cricketer of the Year in 2005. He has 36 centuries in first class and represented many teams in domestic careers such as with South Australia, Tasmania, Glamorgan, Leicestershire and Big Bash franchises. He represented Australia in 3 one-day internationals in 2006 and scored a 74 on debut against Bangladesh. He's known for his power hitting and aggressive batting. So thank you for coming on the show, Mark.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. And I was reading your bio, and I think you were a high performance coach at South Australia Cricket Association. So how's that experience been coaching there?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I've been there for sort of 2.5 years now. And then last year obviously was a fantastic year for us. To win the Shield and the one-day comp all in 1 year, it was a pretty special year. It's been good fun. It's had its ups and downs. Obviously, year before we were close to getting the Shield final and just missed out. And then last year we made the final and played really well.
Yeah, South Australia's story this Sheffield Shield season has been pretty inspirational. What do you feel has been the key reason as to why South Australia were able to do so well in the Shield this season?
A lot comes down to the players. The players played so well this year. And I think it's been bubbling for sort of 2 years. I think it wasn't just a overnight success. You look at the squad that Shaun Williams put together, the same with Ryan Harris. It's a really diverse squad. Like, there is some blokes from interstate, some homegrown talent as well. But they sort of all gel together. And, it's just with the bowlers we have, we always knew if we get a score, we're in the game. So, and then the batters turned out. I think we scored something like 1800s last year. To put numbers out like that, you're always going to do pretty well.
It's interesting talking about the batsmen as well, because in this era of T20 cricket, a lot of people are always emphasizing the big hitting and gets the big bucks. And so in this situation, how do you feel as a coach? What sort of things or processes you have to put in place in order to ensure that these young up and coming cricketers are having or fine tuning their game according to the long format?
Yeah, it's a really good question, that one. It's we got blokes like JFM in our team or in our squad. He's a prime example of, he wants to play Test cricket, he wants to play 4-day cricket, but he's so dynamic and versatile in the one-day formats and the white ball stuff that we got to strike a balance. We want him to be able to play that aggressive role in 4-day cricket. Maybe not as aggressive as he has been, but look, I think he's one kid there that we're trying to shape and be able to not just play 4-day cricket, but dominate 4-day cricket the way he should. He's so talented, and the kid's coming through. I think we still got to keep selling the baggy green. I think you look at the Indian series against England this week or last week. That was an awesome series. The Ashes this year is going to be probably one of the best series on Adelaide, on Australian soil in 10 years. So I think keep selling the baggy green dream to the players, and then just fine tuning your talent as well. So look, there's a lot of technical stuff that can transfer into both formats. So if you have not a good foundation, you're on your way to being a 3-format player.
Yeah, Test cricket has been pretty riveting in the past year or so. Like recently with England and India was an amazing series. When India were in Australia as well, that series was amazing. And even the MCG Day 5, I was there as well. So I went to most of the days at the MCG, and it was such an amazing atmosphere. And having so many people turn up for Test cricket shows, how Test cricket is alive. And in terms of from the South Australia squad, like who do you feel people should keep an eye on in terms of upcoming cricketers for the longer format?
Jason Sangha is obviously one for us. He's done exceptionally well in the last sort of 12 months. Nathan McSweeney as well, made his Test debut last summer. I've no doubt he'll bounce back this summer and score a mountain of runs and put pressure to get back in that Test team. Brendan Doggett, Lloyd Pope, Liam Scott. There's a number there. Where's Agar? I could name a few there that who have gone really well at the moment, and then slowly starting to get some recognition on Aussie A cricket and white ball cricket as well. You got Spencer Johnson sitting in the wings as well, coming back from injury. So the squad's a really exciting squad, and I've no doubt I've missed a couple there. Obviously, Hetty and Carey as well. So it's a really, really exciting squad, really exciting time for SA cricket. I think we could have success for 2, 3, 4 years on the back of the players believing they can do it now, and they've got the evidence there that shows that they can do it.
Yeah, like speaking of Jason Sangha, so I'm originally from Sydney, and so he was playing for New South Wales. I think it was like 2 years ago now, and my friend he plays Randwick Petersham alongside him, so he would always be telling him like, Jason Sangha is amazing. You should keep an eye on him, this and that. I'm like, okay, I'll see what happens. And then he moved to South Australia, and then ended up creating history for South Australia, hitting the winning runs. So. Definitely special for him to achieve all that. Now, he's playing for Australia A, did well there too. So definitely someone to really keep an eye on in terms of future of Australian cricket. And so this podcast is essentially, interviewing cricketers in order to ensure that, audience can get an insight into what makes them tick, like could be psychological, strategical, etc. So I wanted to kind of focus on your experience playing cricket from a childhood, and kind of talking about your experiences and performance as well in domestic cricket and also international. So to kind of start off from your childhood, what was your relationship like when it came to cricket? Did you always just play cricket, or did you play any other sports? And did you always dream of being a professional cricketer growing up?
Yeah, it's funny. My dad, or my family's from England. Dad's from Liverpool. Never played a game of cricket in his life.
Does he
And
support
sort of
Liverpool FC?
yeah,
Yeah.
follow Liverpool. Big game tonight. But yeah, it was one of those things where I played soccer, played footy. Mum and dad loved me playing soccer, put up with me playing footy, I tried to say. And then cricket sort of just slowly in the background. So obviously, cricket you can't start until you're you're a little bit older than soccer. Soccer you can start at sort of 4, 5, 6. Where cricket you're probably 7 or 8. And yeah, Dad saw something and sort of took me out to the local cricket club down the road. I played my first game, didn't go that well. Only played maybe 1 or 2 games that year. And he encouraged me to go again next year, and we moved to a different club, a bit more friendly, a bit more because I was so young. I think I was playing under 12s. I was only 7 or 8, so it was always pushing to try and get a game, or try and at least get a bat or a bowl, not just stand in the field all day. So we moved clubs, and I remember going down to, I don't know, we had like a school holiday clinic, and I met one of the coaches there who lived probably just 10, 15 minutes from our house. And we struck up a really good relationship with him. He became my batting coach since I was 8 to, well, probably last year, to be fair, a year before. So he's been along the journey with me as well, Russell Thompson. But yeah, Dad was a big influence. He'd throw balls to me in the nets, hours on hours at the end. It probably, cricket took over probably when I was about 14, when I played my first sort of A-grade game at Northern Districts. I think that's when it sort of took off, and it was like, oh, okay, maybe cricket's the way I'll go. Footy and soccer sort of dropped off in the background there. I was lucky enough to go to England when I was 15. Me and Mum went to England, stayed with our cousins in Redcar, and sort of met some really good cricketers there. Played some really good cricket there, and then came back and and just started getting into the state stuff, or into the 19 squads from a really young age. So from about 14, cricket sort of took over. I remember missing a soccer cup final to go play cricket. So from then on, it was sort of like, yeah, we've got to go down this path. Still love my soccer. Still played it until last year. But yeah, cricket sort of just, I don't know if there was ever a point where you chose. I think you get a point where the game chooses for you. You sort of get picked in teams and you get picked in stuff where you go, geez, I'm going really well here. I've just got to keep sticking it out. I don't feel a moment where it's like, I'm going to give up everything and just play cricket. It's more cricket just took over. It started becoming 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 10 months, and then it was like, oh, this is going to be full time now. So
You mentioned, I think his name was Russell Thompson, the batting coach. You've had for a while from a young age. What sort of aspects did he coach when it comes to your batting from a young age? Like, what did he fixate on? Was it kind of technique? Was it a mental game? What was his focus from a young age when it came to your batting?
No, he was I would say technical, but not overly technical. He was a big one of getting your body in the right position, your hands coming through nice and straight, body weight over into the ball, and bits and pieces like that. He was very not technical, but because Dad never played cricket, Dad had no idea. Dad would just go and hit the ball, just stand there and hit it. Where Russell would actually show you how to stand there and hit it, and then Dad would throw balls for the rest of the week, if that made sense. So Dad, I'd hit with Dad 5 times a week. I'd hit with Russell once a week, but Russell was sort of right. This is how he's got to do it. And then Dad did all the grunt work for that week, and then would go back and see Russell. The mental side of it, I look back now, and me and Dad had an interesting relationship when we came to cricket. He was probably the one who made me mentally tough. He'd not have a go at you, but he'd niggle you. He would do bits and pieces that did, for me at 15, probably didn't make sense. Now looking back, you're like, oh, that's why he did that, or this is why he did this. And obviously, I played a lot of indoor cricket as well. And I think looking back, indoor cricket was quite big in Adelaide back when we were kids. You go and play like an A-grade game out at Salisbury, and both sides of the nets were full of people yelling and screaming, and that was quite intimidating. But because they were so close, I think that held me in really good stead as well to go and play state cricket, because you're never going to get people yelling at you that close, like net by net, basically. So I think a lot of things come into being mentally strong or shaping your mental game. Same with soccer, footy. They all played their parts in the person I was or the person I become. Your mates definitely play a massive part in who you are, basically. So, and I was lucky. I had some really good mates around me from school and from cricket who one encouraged but also pushed, if that made sense.
Yeah, and so touching on what you mentioned about your dad making you mentally tough, can you give a specific example of what he did in order to encourage that side of things?
I probably could have it's just bits and pieces. Like he'd come halfway and throw balls at me, and he'd hit you and hit you with the ball, and you come home with a bruise, and Mum would be like, "Oh, you're throwing them too hard, throwing them too fast." And Dad would just get back in there. Well, or we go home, we'll get back in there, one or the other. And then by then, like that ball to hit me in the chest, by the second week I was hitting it, or he'd throw sticks and rocks on the pitch, and bits and pieces like that. He'd just make it tough, where I wanted to go and have a hit. And don't get me wrong, it was fun. I loved cricket. I loved the challenge, and I think kids or people who enjoy it being hard are always going to succeed. So I enjoyed it, maybe not at that moment, but I still enjoyed batting when there's rocks on the pitch or there were sticks on the pitch, or we'd go down to Dauncey Road where the pitch had cracks all in it, and the ball's always going to fly up and hit you, and bits and pieces like that. But it was sort of like, looking back now, it's like, well, he's preparing me for, when I get older. Because obviously once I got about 16, 17, his throwing wasn't sort of as quick as it was when I was 10 to 14. So he had to change things. He had to do things differently. He'd get the bowling machine out and just crank it nearly full blast. And it was like, right, I can't throw, but you're going to hit these. So I think, yeah, the way he did it was really, really good. And a lot of people, it's funny because people say, oh, he pushed you. But at the end of the day, if he didn't push me as hard as he did, or did the things he did, I wouldn't be talking to you. I wouldn't have got to the places I got to. So the big thing was I always wanted to go. I never got forced to go and play cricket. I never got forced to go to the nets. I always wanted to go to the nets. I think Christmas Day, I was like, I got a new bat. It's like, we got nets today? And Dad's like, it's Christmas Day, surely not. I'm like, I've got to have a hit. And we'd go for an hour to have a hit with a new bat. And that was, for me, I wanted to do all of that. Like, I wasn't getting pushed. Dad wasn't pushing me to go for a hit. It was all about, one, spending time with Dad, but two, playing cricket. You know, I knew that I couldn't go and kick the footy with him because he had no interest in kicking the footy. But in winter we'd go and play soccer. So we'd play some drills and bits and pieces with soccer. But cricket sort of, I don't know, I started enjoying it more and wanted to be out there all the time. We'd hit before school, we'd hit after school. And yeah, I don't know how he doesn't have a shoulder operation or a back operation because he threw that many balls between the ages of probably 8 and 14, I reckon, 15 maybe. He threw that many balls, and we're talking sort of 2 hours a day before or after work, school. And then that's with training lumped on top, if that made sense. But again, I enjoyed doing it. I wanted to do it. You know, we had work experience weeks. Me and my mate would go down to the indoor centre and we'd have our work experience week there and we'd just hit balls. Like it was we always wanted to play sport. So it didn't matter if we were going to a soccer clinic, we went to a soccer clinic. We were always active. We were always out playing sport. And I think that's probably the difference I see these days.
It's really interesting you mentioned about training with your dad and if there's, rocks and sticks and just trying to make do. It's almost like he's instilling that tough mental aspect of when it comes to, being a batsman and not making excuses, because once you sort of fixate on aspects that are sort of out of your control, then, you may not make the most of your sort of, opportunities when it comes to batting. Especially in any sort of situation or in any match, because I think it's a recurring thing. I'm sure you would have experienced it coaching kids as well, where there's something that happens or they make excuses and they don't sort of focus on the process, or that will allow them to achieve the best that they can when it comes to results. So it's almost like from a young age your dad was not giving you any excuses, you know what I mean, and facilitating that side. So.
Yeah, definitely. And look, don't get me wrong, there was big blow-ups. There was we'd abuse each other and a big blow-ups. But over time, it was like, right, you're going to do this again. Right, I need to do this. So you solve the problem. Like, yeah, you have a dummy spit or you have a go at each other. Then you're like, right, what do I actually need to do here? I don't want to get hit or hurt. But two, I want to win. I want to score. So how do I do this? So over time, it got easier and not easier and easier. It got easier working out, right, this is what I've got to do now, or this is what I need to do because we're playing on Daunty Road where it cracks. Right, I'm going to hang back because the ball's going to bounce at me. So I'm going to hang back and duck and weave. So you end up just getting plans for different wickets. And I don't know if he did deliberately, but we'd always go to different nets. Like there was always a Garner Park, Elizabeth, that was probably the best nets we could get. But then you had Daunty Road and you had the other ones, the Adka ones, were rough. They were like the gum trees hanging over. So you had the nuts on the pitch, or you had cracks in the pitch. And we'd always just wander around which pitch we'd go to. And I don't know if he did that deliberately or was just saying that he just did. But yeah, we always went to different nets and trained differently every time, or he threw balls differently, or it was fun. I really enjoyed spending that time training and working and getting better each week or each session.
And also, you bowled quite a bit in first class as well, but I noticed that you bowled actually quite a lot as well as a youngster, but you're a right-handed bowler and you're a left-handed batsman. Is that something you actively coach into?
No, I just picked up a bat left-handed and, yeah, I just threw right-handed and bowled right-handed. So it was sort of one of those things. It's funny, we were talking about it yesterday. I can't remember who it was with. But it actually becomes a bit of a cheat because your top hand becomes your strongest hand. So it's in theory, it's better. It's easier to coach that way. But yeah, it definitely wasn't, oh, we're doing this because of this. It was just, I picked up a bat left-handed. My son's right-handed, so he won't get any gear off me. But yeah, it's just the way things are. I just picked it up left-handed, and then I went with that.
Yeah, because I noticed like if someone plays normal like local club cricket, there's not many left-handed batsmen. But then when you look at a lot of players in international cricket or domestic cricket, a lot of them are left-handed batsmen, but also right-handed, or vice versa. It could be maybe a left-handed batsman, but then they're right-handed. So, oh, sorry, they're right-handed
Yep.
batsmen are left-handed. So, like,
Yep.
yeah, I find that really interesting. So, some people feel like maybe from young age they'll coach into it, or it's interesting that you found it's natural because I'd say that's not really common per se from a lot of people that I play cricket with.
No, I wouldn't think so. No, I had a teammate who I played with who bowled left-handed but threw right-handed. Couldn't throw left-handed, and he batted left-handed. So yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, he couldn't throw the ball left-handed but bowled left-handed. It was weird.
I never heard that before. That's really interesting.
Oh
So
mate, you watch him throw left-handed. It was like, mate, you're taking the piss here, aren't you? And he was just like, nah, that's my left-hand throw. It's like, oh wow. But yeah, bowled genuine left arm tweakers and bowled them really well.
and because you played in the under 17 national championships, because you talked about how you played a lot, and then you're doing well, and you got kind of picked for those carnivals, and that was in the season of 1999 to 2000, and you're playing alongside the likes of Callum Ferguson and Shaun Tait. And Shaun Tait you've played for like a very long time, actually, to be honest, but you're playing since under 17. So do you have a recollection of that championship, and what was that experience like?
I can't remember which that was. Yeah, but I played a lot with Tatey. Tatey was fast, even from a young age. He was quick. He's the quickest bowler I've ever seen. Luckily I played with him, not against him. But yeah, he's a great lad. He's a good kid. And yeah, he came down from the country. So I was probably I lived an hour out of town, where Tatey probably lived the same, but up in the hills. Yeah, so we got along pretty well, to be fair. But yeah, he was from a young age. You could see that he could bowl some decent pace, and then just got quicker and quicker as he got older. I think he under 17s was easily the quickest bowler there. Then I don't reckon he played 19s. I reckon he may have been injured 19, or maybe played 1 year of 19s, and then into state cricket. But yeah, he was scary fast.
And I think the following year, in 2000 or 2001, you made your debut for Australia under 19s against Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And you're playing alongside the likes of Travis Burt, Nathan Horrocks, Chris Hartley, Mitchell Johnson, Shaun Marsh, and Cameron White as well. So, what was your emotions at the time when you found out your pick for under 19s, and what sort of work did you feel like you had to do in order to get to that level?
Yeah, that was probably a surprise, that one, because I would have been really young. I would have only been 16, 17 at that stage. We played Sri Lanka in Adelaide, I think we did. But yeah, they were awesome. Like, you'd watch Mitchell Johnson bowl in the nets or in the indoor centre, you're like, Jesus, I don't want to face that. And then Horry obviously I think Horry was captain. But yeah, it was a talented squad. I think Sean Marsh played as well, and obviously Hearts, and they all would have played, I don't know, 50 games plus for their states on the back of that. So that under 19, that era of 19 for the next probably 3 years had some really talented cricketers come through that period of time, and we all played together and all got along reasonably well, which was a bonus, because you'd go to each state and you knew a couple of blokes in each team, and you'd sort of catch up with them every once a year or bits and pieces like that. So it was a tight little group, and everyone sort of enjoyed each other, which was good fun.
And because I also want to talk about the World Cup, under 19 World Cup that you'd won in New Zealand, but I'll get to that. But before that, in season 2001, you're in the under 19s national championships. And what stuck out is that you scored 91 against Victoria. Do you have any recollection of that score at that time?
Which one? The New South Wales game or?
Victoria. So I think he scored 91 against Victoria.
Oh, no, not really, no.
General sort of work that you put into that championship. If you recollect anyone that you faced that you felt like you had to do certain trains in order to combat or anything of that sort.
Was that a World Cup year?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
so I had a terrible carnival. I reckon 91 was the only score I made. That was in Newcastle. We had a really good team. It was myself, Tatey, Borgie, Cam Borges, Cullen Ferguson, Matthew Weeks. We had a really good team, and we had a terrible carnival. I reckon I got 3 ducks out of 6 games. Got that 91, but bowled really well. I think I ended up with 20 odd wickets. And basically bowling got me in that World Cup team, basically. And I was batting really well before the carnival, so it was sort of like, right, I'm all set to have a big carnival here. No pressure. I've been away with the Aussie 90s before. If I do back to your process, do my stuff and just concentrate on the game ahead. Don't worry about what's going to happen in a week's time or 2 weeks' time. We're just game by game. Yeah, and I had a stinker. I had a proper stinker. And I reckon 91 was maybe the last game of the tournament. And yeah, fortunate enough to get picked in that World Cup team on the back of probably my bowling, to be fair.
And so at the time, did you just consider yourself as a bowler, considering what you mentioned now, or was that not
No,
really?
no, definitely. I was batting, open to batting in those carnivals. No, I was a batter that bowled. I was just lucky enough that I bowled okay to sort of, I'd bowled first change, and bowled reasonably well. So, I was definitely a batter that bowled. Yeah, so I'd play as the all rounder in that team. So it was, my job was there to make runs, not necessarily take wickets.
Naturally, any youngster in that position might feel a hit to their confidence because you said you get a few ducks. So how did you manage that situation? Did you just always have that natural self belief, or did you, trust your process that will allow you to perform?
Trusting the process. But I think we had a team dinner the night before, and blokes were talking about World Cup teams, and we none of us had a really good carnival, and we were like, well, none of us are making it. We're done. And I remember someone just going, "Why don't you just go out and slog? Just go out there and whack every ball. Like it's like just take the pressure off and just have some fun." I was like, "Yeah, why not? Like, what's the worst going to happen? We get another duck, go home, and 4 out of 5 ducks. It's one of those things can't do much about." And obviously got a couple away, I reckon, early, and then just started flowing again. And then I obviously got some runs, and I was lucky enough to get picked up World Cup team to go to New Zealand.
So I'll get to that World Cup now. So under 19
Yep.
World Cup was in New Zealand, and it was actually a very stacked Australia team. So if I'm pulling it up, my internet's a bit laggy, but
Yeah.
I think the likes of like George Bailey, if I recall, Sean Marsh,
Yep.
Cameron White, Adam Crossway, which we've interviewed as well. So I've spoken to him
Yep.
actually about that under 19 World Cup. So what was the preparation like going into that World Cup and training as a squad? And what do you feel like as a squad you did right in order to win that World Cup? Because I think that World Cup in the finals, Hashim Amla as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So big
Yep.
names in that
He
World
got
Cup.
run out. Yeah. So we went to New Zealand probably 3 months beforehand, before the Nationals. So we took a team to New Zealand before the Nationals, and that was roughly that team. There was a couple of blokes who missed out who went on that first tour, but we've sort of already been to New Zealand. We had England here I think we played them 7 times, like a 7-game series in Adelaide before the World Cup, and we absolutely whacked them every game. It was quite funny, to be fair. We hit them in the semi-final or quarterfinals. It was like, gee, they're due to beat us. But we had a really good build-up. Wayne Phillips was coach. He definitely took all the stress out of it. I think we scored 500 against Namibia. We made some big scores in that carnival. I think Jared Burke made some, Craig Simmons, Sean Marsh, Cameron White, Bales, myself, Crossway. Like it was a really good team. I think Dan Christian was 12th man for the final. And Craig Phillips missed out as well. So you go, look, Christo's had a fantastic career. He's played cricket all around the world. Craig Phillips played probably 20, 30 games for Queensland. So that team there, it was, like you said, it was stacked. But it was good fun. Like we'd win a game. It'd be like we won the World Cup. We'd go out, enjoy ourselves, and then we'd just roll on to the next game. West Indies, we had West Indies in our group. I can't remember who the third team was. It was Namibia, West Indies, and someone else. West Indies were good. They were really good. They made a big score against one of the teams, and we're like, oh, righty, they could be good here. But we just turned up every time we played. We turned up. Even in the final, we played one of our better games. I think we won. I think we won every game with a bonus point. It was just one of those carnivals that we got on a roll and we just kept going. Everyone did their role. My role was to bowl the last 5 overs of the game. I don't reckon I did it once. I reckon I bowled once in the World Cup and batted twice. I think it was one of those carnivals where I bat 6 and your job was to finish off the innings. And didn't have to do my role, which was fantastic. Everyone at the top were doing their job, and Aaron Bird and Rob Castle. Then you had your Bo Casson and Doherty and White with a spin. We sort of had every base covered, and it was just, like I said, it just went to plan the whole trip.
Oh, sorry about that. What? Who was the batsman that sort of impressed you in that particular World Cup?
Oh, Shaun Marsh was head and shoulders above anybody else. Amla got run out in the finals, so we didn't really get to see him bat. Dwayne Bravo played for the West Indies. So there were some good names going around. I can't really off the top of my head at the moment, but Shaun was. I've been lucky enough. I'd been to the academy with him a couple of times beforehand, probably the year and a half beforehand. So I got to know him really well. He was an exceptional player. He was always going to play for Australia. He was head and shoulders above anybody else we had in Australia at that stage.
It's really interesting because after that World Cup, the next season, you played the under-19 championships again, and because you played that point, you would have played the under-19 championship twice, and then you also played the World Cup. Was there any sort of pressure or expectation on you in order to do well in that carnival?
No, I reckon that was my 5th carnival, the 19s carnival. Probably a little bit. Yeah, we probably as a team with the team we had, we probably knew we underperformed for probably 2-3 years. We won the under-17s at our top age again, and we sort of right. We can win the 19s 2 or 3 times here, and we just didn't. We just didn't get everything together. I know we made a bit of a pact before we left. We weren't going to drink. We would drink the last night and last night only. We were going to make sure we looked after ourselves, made sure we were in bed early, because those trips can be a bit of fun as well. Like you go away for sort of 2 weeks with 10 of your good mates. You know, it's easy to stay up, watch TV, easy just to be a kid. But I remember sitting in Adelaide Oval and we sort of all said to each other, we deserve to win this. We just haven't got anywhere near it. So we sort of all put our heads down and said, right, let's get this. Let's try and win it this year and do it properly. And we did. No, we didn't. We didn't win it, did we? No, we came second. We lost. We lost to ACT the last game of the carnival to lose it. We won every game. New South Wales played Victoria in a 2-day game, and if any of them teams won outright, they would have jumped us, even though we beat ACT. Because the way the points worked, you got more points for a 4-day win than a 1-day win. So we didn't go through the process. We jumped forward saying we've got to beat these outright to win it. And we just lost our way a little bit. That last game we ended up second. But yeah, for me personally, it was a really good tournament. Got some run, or got a heap of runs and a heap of wickets, which is good. And I reckon I caught nearly everything that got nicked into the slips. So, for me, it was a really good tournament, and just probably a bit of a relief as well to actually finish off and go, right, I actually nailed a tournament. Like the other tournaments were okay. That one before was horrendous, but the others were okay. You sort of end up with 100 or bits and pieces here and there. But I think I ended up with 300s that carnival and probably 15 wickets, 20 wickets as well. So for me, it was like I actually nailed that carnival and sort of just made sure that I knew that I was good enough at that level to go on.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the games New South Wales were 110 all out. You scored 81 not out, 58. Another game against Victoria, you scored 148 off 136, and another game against Western Australia was 154, 149. So obviously, amazing carnivals. So, what do you feel you did in particular? I know you mentioned about not staying late and working hard and all that kind of stuff. But what other aspects do you feel like you implement in your batting in order to score those runs?
I'm not sure. I think it was just the first year I actually took it not seriously. Seriously is probably the wrong word, but took it on face value what it was. It was we're going away for cricket, so let's concentrate on our cricket. And look, it should have paid off in the end. We just missed a trick at the last hurdle. But for me, I had a really good opening partnership down the other end with Tom Plant. He was quite level. He was probably the slower pace batter in our team. So his job was to sort of bat to 50 overs. He had sort of I think Cam Borges batted 3, Ferg batted 4. So it sort of gave me a bit of freedom knowing that I had those blokes behind me as well. That look, if I mess up, we've got some really good quality players behind me. Yeah, for me, I'm not sure much changed. I know Dad came on that trip because he'd never came to a carnival before, so he wanted to come. He came to that last carnival. He drove over. Maybe having him around, I'm not sure. It's just one of those carnivals that just sort of clicked. I always think in season and stuff, if you get off a good start, you can sort of ride the wave through the carnival or through the season. And I think that just happened. I think one of those hundreds was the first game of the carnival, and I think it just sort of just rode that wave all the way through, which was pretty cool.
What's also amazing is that it looks like only a few months later you'd actually make your Pura Cup debut for South Australia. So not like an under-19s, actually for the domestic scene. So you would have been 19, I think, at that time. So what was your emotions like when you found out like you're actually going to play for your state now after playing in the under-19 carnival? And yeah, tell us your emotions during that time.
Yeah, pretty exciting. So I got picked in the one-day comp. I'm not sure if it was ING or first. We played that for the Shield game. So I was only picked in that to start with. And Neil Danzy came over to me at training, and he was a selector, but he wasn't the head selector, if that makes sense. He's sort of like, I think you'll have a good week next week. I think you'll be all right. I'm like, yeah, no worries. I'll be fine. I'll be a good Nodder. And Nodder always loved coming around and making you feel good. And he was just a character that you always wanted around, always made you smile. He was there since I was SAPSASA. Like he'd go to all the state carnival, not all the state carnival, but he'd be around all the state teams. So you sort of got to know him since you were about 10 or 11. He was like, I think you'll have a good week next week. I'm like, yeah, I'll be all right. And then he's like, no, you're going to have a really good week. Sunshine. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then got picked to go to the one-day game in Queensland, so which was really cool. Probably didn't work out that well for us. I think we got bowled out for 80 something. Day-night game against Queensland, didn't get to turn the lights on. So that probably didn't work out that well. But then came in to the Shield team through injury. Mark Higgs, one of my teammates at club cricket, got injured, so I sort of took that role and played the Shield game as well. So which was awesome. It was just really, to play. My first 2 games were at the Gabba, which is pretty cool to experience that as an 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah, like you mentioned the game, your debut, the team total was 83 runs, and you'd scored 24 runs and you're batting at 3. So 19 years old, batting at 3, first game, your team is out for 83. How did you deal with that situation? Like, what was going through your head?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it was just it happened so quickly. I remember batting with Graham Manu. I was out there. Well, he was out there when I got out, and he's like, "Mate, just keep going, just keep going. We'll hang in here. We'll hang in here." Um, yeah, and then by that stage, I think we were like seven down, and I sort of took the try and take the lead and get some quick runs at the back end, but not the back end, but back end of our innings, and nicked one. But um, looking back, it was disappointing. We didn't. I was just really excited to play under lights. Like never played under lights. Under lights at the Gabba. I think it must have been a Friday night. It was sort of like, oh, that's going to be awesome. How good is this going to be? And the lights didn't even get turned on. So yeah, and I think it was. I think it ended up being one of the lowest scores in one day cricket in Australia, which was disappointing. But yeah, it was just I don't have too much recollection of the game, but yeah, the emotions were really excited. So pretty disappointing after the game. To excitement again to go and play that 4-day game in a couple of days' time. So it was tough. I think our first 2 1-day games were tough. I think we went straight from Brisbane down to Tassie, and we got rolled for 60 odd down in Tassie as well. So our 1-day cricket wasn't great at that stage. But our Shield cricket was actually going okay.
I don't know if you're aware, but if you go on your Cricket Info profile, it's really hard to find your early games, like even your debut game. There's no link to it, like any other profile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, we worked that out. I finished club cricket last year or year before, and trying to find stats and bits and pieces from club cricket, let alone state cricket, and my career's taken over, and it's only started from sort of 2010, I think. So yeah, the early ones are hard to find.
So I had to like my research. I had to go into like the Sheffield Shield of like 2003, open up all the scorecards of that
Yeah,
year,
alrighty. Yeah,
and then go through
yeah,
all of them to be like, all right, are you in this game? Are you in this game? So why I'm saying this
yeah,
is because whilst I did this process, which took forever, I noticed that you're bouncing around the order a lot. So one game maybe you're opening, like in your debut, you're at number 3. I think in another game you're a middle order. So I was just thinking, as a 19-year-old, debut season, as well as I think in the following season, it's quite a lot. I could imagine for a cricketer or a young cricketer to be going through that process, like batting up top, then batting lower down the order. Did you have any sort of issue with that when it comes to like playing your game, or was it that you're a young player and you were just excited to be in the team, so you didn't mind wherever you were batting?
yeah. That's it. I was a young player. I was excited to play. If that means I had to open the batting or bat 7, it didn't really matter. My philosophy always is, no matter where you bat, you're going to make runs. So it looks differently sometimes where you bat, but the outcome's always the same. Always the same. So for me, I don't know. I was lucky enough. I opened a batting at club cricket from I reckon about 16. Started opening batting at Northern Districts. So when I was first started, I batted 7 and 6. 7 and 6 got to 4 maybe when I was 14, 15, and there was a spot open at the top of the order when I was about 16. I was like, well, yeah, I'll just do it. And for me, I reckon that just opened doors. It opened doors for me to bat top 3. It opened doors for me to bat 7. It just, I don't know. I was one of those players that didn't really bother me if I had to sit around and wait to bat or had to get straight out there. It's sort of just one of those things. It was like, right, what's happening? How do I solve this problem? How do I make runs? It didn't really bother me. Didn't matter where I batted, especially at that age. Even when I got older, it was still the same. Like, yeah, ideally I'd love to bat 4, but if I have to open, I have to open. It doesn't matter. It's what role can I play for the team more importantly than anything else.
And in the following season, so 2003, 2004, you'd hit your debut 100, I'm pretty sure, against New South Wales. And it was a very strong New South Wales team. And what was the experience like? What do you feel like you'd instilled, or did you go through a lot of training in the off season because it was your debut season? The season before, you must have learnt a lot of new things when it comes to cricket and batting, and must have implemented it into that season. So walk us through the lead up to that particular season and then your debut 100.
So that's my first year on contract or a rookie contract. I think I think it was like $8,500, $10,000, I think it was. And I was still living at home with mum and dad. So we're driving into the city every day to train. But yeah, it was just exciting to be around like the likes of Darren Lehmann, Greg Blewett, Jason Gillespie. And then we had some mates in, like Shaun Tait was in the squad at that stage. And then I was really lucky. We look back, we go back to club cricket. My club team was Ryan Harris, Graham Manu, Darren Lehmann, Mark Higgs, myself, Chris DeVow, Stephen Busridge played Aussie 19s. So we had a really good core group of really good cricketers at Clubland, and half of them were in the state team anyway. So for me, it was really easy to adapt into that culture, into that team, because it was sort of like, I'm playing for the same team, I'll just change my badge kind of thing. It was really, for me, like I said, it was really easy for me to play. They'd all seen me make runs. They all knew I could play it. It was just a matter of actually doing it at the next step or the next level. So, yeah, for me, that season was really good. I'd get to spend more time with my mates, get more time with Sir Ryan and Graham and Buff and stuff like that. Got to spend more time with them and learn off them more. Like not just a Tuesday, Thursday night. We're there every day now, which was awesome. And then, yeah, that year, yeah, I still remember it was, yeah, that game was awesome. And then get to play the likes of, I think that team had like Michael Slater in it, Steve Waugh, Mark Waugh, Haddon, McGill, Clark would have played, Nicholson played. I'm probably missing. Clark would have played. To start playing against those blokes on a regular basis was awesome. I watched those blokes in the living room with mum and dad, watching Steve Waugh bowl and bat, and Mark Waugh was one of my favourite cricketers. He just looked so good. Played against Michael Clark under 17s when he won player of the tournament in Sydney. Didn't play against him in 19s. I don't reckon he played 19s very often. But yeah, it was just pretty cool to walk out there and you look around the field and you're like, geez, I don't want to make ass of myself here. And I think that just spurred me on a little bit to actually go, I'll show these blokes I can play. And batted really well. I think all I remember about that game, I think I got my 100 late in the day. And the lights came on. It was drizzly and I got hit in the head. Nicholson hit me in the head maybe a couple of overs ago before the end of play. And Dizzy, I was back with Dizzy and Dizzy came down, you're right. I was like, oh, I can't. I'm banging headache and fuzzy. And he's just like, all right, I'll block these 6 balls and we'll come back tomorrow and belt them. But that's what I do remember of that game. I remember, 100 came up, hitting the ball over mid-off, just above head high, I think it was. But yeah, I think it's funny to talk to a couple of blokes from club cricket who came down after work to watch it. They were just like, it was just you playing club cricket. Like sort of that aggression and that freedom that I'd played club cricket for the last 3 or 4 years. That's it, just looked like it just transferred into Shield cricket. So from then on, it was sort of like, right, that's how we're going to play. Okay, don't have to look pretty. I don't have to be intimidated by the bowlers anymore. It's only the ball coming down. I just play my way and I work it out. I work the game out as it comes. So for me, hearing that it didn't look any different was really pleasing. And I think I carried that on the whole way through. You know, it was never always going to look pretty, but it was my way of how I'm going to play. And I needed to be free. I needed to be able to step and hit the ball. I wanted to hit the ball. So if I ever went back in my shell, that was always going to be a harder job for me to score runs than being positive. Like at the end of the day, you're always going to get out. So you might as well get runs for you to get you out. So yeah, for me, hearing that it looked very similar to club cricket sort of made me think that, okay, cool, I've got a good game plan here.
And just to hone in with your batting process in particular, did you have a certain way of approaching things when the bowler's running in? Like, are you looking to watch the seam very closely and keep it simple? Because what you're saying about transferring from club to domestic, I'm sure that there's processes that you instilled, or even from a younger age, where you just felt like, okay, if I just keep these aspects of my game in domestics and try to keep it simple, not play according to the bowler, but just play according to the ball that's being bowled, then it will have the most chance of success. So, what sort of key aspects of your batting do you feel like you implemented from a process perspective or focused on?
Yeah, it definitely changed throughout my career. When I was young, I wanted to jump on the front foot and I wanted to play drives and cover drives and cuts. I was very forward press, forward heavy, which I reckon a year after got me caught out a little bit. I was pressing forward and the balls were coming shorter. But it was definitely like, right, let's make sure I'm going at the ball, taking a step at the ball, hitting through the line, looking to play straight, watching the ball. I don't think I had too many processes back then. You're 19, you're 19, 20, you're just there to have fun and enjoy the game. And you work it out as you go. Back through the middle of the career, there was definitely a switch to being a bit more balanced at the crease. So not so much heavy-footed, being more balanced so I can go forward and back. But yeah, as a process, it was really simple. It was watch the ball, play straight. It was there to score. If you can't score off it, defend it, let it go. You're always looking at, for me, it was always 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm looking to, if I get a bad ball, I'm going to put it for 6. Can't do that, hit it for 4. Can't do that, 3, 2, 1. And then your last resort is defend it or let it go. Batters, your job's to score runs. So for me, always have that intent to score. It may not be there all the time. 4-day cricket, you don't need to have it all the time. But you got to have that intent to move and to be in a good position to score, be ready to score. So that was sort of that was probably my process for my whole career. It was like, right, I've got to look to score. I've got to put the bowler under some pressure. He's not just come running and bowl on top of off. I'm going to put him under pressure. I want him to miss more time than not. So, so my process was, look to attack, have that intent, but also to sort of bat some time as well.
And is that intent to score, was it shaped by your coach or your dad, or was it something that you were inspired by watching other players, for example?
Probably dad. Dad was always like, just step out there and hit the ball, get forward and hit the ball. So for me, it was always, it's funny because you come off the ground, you don't ask how many balls you face, do you? You come off the ground and say, how many runs I make. So for me, it was like, I'm going to make runs. So it wasn't about I batted for an hour and a half, I batted 2 hours or whatever it was. It was like, how many runs I make. So for me, it was always runs. Like, how do I make more runs? If I nick one through third slip, it didn't bother me. It was like, that's 4 more. That's fine. For me, it was probably, Dad, Russell was the same. He was like, right, how do we score? How can we score? Right, this is a field. How are you going to score? Do you have to walk across and drop it to square leg? Or do you stand leg side and try and hit 3 point? For me, you always got to look to score and look to put pressure back on the bowler. If the bowler bowls, if I had to face Shane Warne for 12 balls, I've no doubt he's every chance to get me out. But if I can go 1 ball, 2 balls and get off strike, it's a lot harder to get me out. So for me, it was always looking to score, always looking to turn that strike over, especially being a left-hander as well. If you had a right-hander at the other end, it made it so much easier. You got so many balls on the hip or you got a cut. It just flowed. So, yeah.
In that particular season, in season 2003, 2004, you'd also be captained and playing alongside Zimbabwe legend Andy Flower. So what was that experience like?
Yeah, it was awesome. We were lucky enough. He played a whole season, I reckon, that year. He was awesome. He was really good. He probably mellowed me a little bit. He was obviously not as aggressive as I was being, but definitely found a balance between being aggressive and being reckless, I'd say. And he taught me a hell of a lot about batting time, being patient. Like he'd break it down into, and I use this my whole career, all the way through, like 20-minute blocks. So, which is about 4 overs. We get through that 4 overs, cool, or that 20 minutes. 3 20s, we get a break, we get a drink, and we go again. Just keep batting in 20-minute blocks. And some 20 minutes you get 3 half volleys and a cut shot. You're like, oh, how good. So I went from looking at 10-run partnerships to on about 20 minutes, on about another 20 minutes, on about another 20 minutes. Because in that 4 overs, you mainly face 2 balls or 2 overs of it. But you've got a little win. You tick that 20 minutes, I'll just go another 20 minutes. Another 20 minutes and I'll get a break. So for me, he definitely taught me a lot. And it was awesome to have him there. You had him, you had Matthew Elliott at that stage, Greg Blewett, Buff was playing for Australia, dropping in and out. So it was a really experienced batting lineup. And you just learnt so much. So, the bat with those 3 was awesome. I learnt so much.
And speaking of Darren Lehmann, like he's probably first class legend because he's incredible stats. I think he has 2 triple centuries if I'm not mistaken as well in the first
his
class.
Last 2 games, yeah,
which is a pretty incredible feat. So, like, what sort of aspects of batting did you learn from him and talk to him about?
He was more for me. Yes, we grew up at the same. Well, didn't grow up at the same. We played at the same club. We're from the same area out north. So for me, he was always someone I looked up to, and you'd go and watch him bat, and he'd always make runs. So you always gravitate to what he does. But batting wise, I probably didn't get heaps off him. It was more the mental side I got from Buff. And I think the batting, it just took like it just looked similar, looked really, really similar, but it wasn't deliberately me going, I want to bat like this or I want to do this like this. I think that just naturally happened. I think being left-handed, some shots look similar. Yeah, but I definitely didn't go, I want to bat like Darren Lehmann, I want to bat like someone else. I always wanted to bat like myself. But the mental side of the game, he was awesome. He was exceptional of talking you through the scenario of the game or what's going to happen in the game. You'd be batting with him and he'd be like, mate, you just got to hang in here for 2 more overs and they're going to bowl spin, you can belt it, you belt that. And he just knew the game. He read the game so well and he was so open and talking about the game all the time. I remember there was a game in Sydney. Stuart Miggle got me out. I tried to hit him over cover on SCG day 4. I think it was Reagan Square. And sort of had mid-wicket square leg, probably 2 at square leg, a mid-wicket. Like I had everyone on the leg side. I think they had a point and a mid-off. And that's all. And that's first slip. And I was like, well, I can hit him through cover here. And obviously, it's a horrendous decision. Didn't get the pitch, the ball got bowled. I remember we were sitting around in the SCG. Jane and he's like, what were you doing today? I was like, well, I thought, no, stop you there. What were you doing today? Well, I thought, no. You weren't thinking. So just stop that. So don't say you were thinking because you weren't thinking. I was like, well, I tried to do this. He's like, with it. And it was sort of like, you'd always have that conversation after the game with him, like sitting around the table, having a beer, and it'd be like, that's where I learned. It's funny to say that. That's probably where you learn most of your cricket, I think. After the game, sitting around the table, having a beer and going, well, I thought, no, you weren't thinking. Stop. You weren't thinking. What were you doing? I was like, well, I tried to punch it through here. I tried to hit it over there. It's turning square. Bat it off stump and just hit one down a long on and get a run. And just make the right-hander, the ball wasn't turning for the right-hander. So let the right-hander face him. I was like, oh, well, yeah, it wasn't turning because he couldn't get it far enough in the rough to get it outside the right-hander. But he'd just make it so clear, the game so clear for you. And he was an awesome mentor for me to be understanding the game, understanding field positions, understanding what bowlers are trying to do. And the big one is him. Like you should walk. Like he was a big one of you walk into the bar after making 100 or 0. Everyone should know what you made. You should stay level the whole time. So don't come in, bounce around because you've made 100. Because next week you'll be crawling in because you've made a duck. Stay nice and level. Stay approachable. Stay humble. Talk to people on the gate. Make friends. Like these people here to help you and watch you. And yeah, he definitely shaped me as a person and definitely as a cricketer in cricket smarts. He was awesome with that kind of stuff.
That's amazing. I could talk about or pick your brains even more in regards to that, but I know I have a lot more to cover as well,
Yeah,
especially
right.
in the next season where you actually had a stellar season 2005 to 2006. You'd scored 736 runs at average of 66.9 in first class and 591 runs at 73.87 in the one day list day format. And I was going through it, you're just, racking hundreds and fifties and just consistently doing that. So, I mean, we're on the topic of Buff and what he was teaching you, and what you learned from him and other players as well. Would all of those aspects, shape you into that stellar season? Like, what contributed to such a stellar season?
So I went to England that year beforehand, so that summer, and played club cricket down in Newcastle. And I had a really good time there, and made a heap of runs, a heap of wickets, and just like we talked about, learning the game, how to play the game. But being in England was you're the pro, you win the game for us. The pressure of not just your performance, but the pressure of actually you got to win the game for the team. Like, we're paying you money to win these games. So that for me, that made me grow up as a batter and grow up as a cricketer. It's like, oh, hang on, I can't just go and slog 80 and go, well, I did my job. It's sort of like, well, no. First game of the year, we bowled about for 130, I reckon. And we needed 10 runs to win. I got 80 odd and just put one straight up the chimney. Well, I think we were 5 down. Straight up the chimney, I was like, oh, I need 10 runs, but we'll win it easy. That's fine. And we got a 9 down. And I remember the old bloke every England club's got an old bloke at the bar. And he's like, Pro, come here. I was like, all right, what do you got? He goes, mate, we don't pay you to get 80s. We pay you to win the game. And he sort of had stuck with me. It was sort of like, oh, righty, no worries, mate. 80 and Fifer. What more do you want? He's like, no, we don't care. We want you to win the game. So don't do that again. So that was like, oh, rightio. So I've got to actually physically win the game for the team, be there at the end. And that sort of made me grow up a bit. It's like, right, I can't just have fun. Or not, you have fun, but you actually got to win the game. Make sure you take it all the way. So that year, that really set me up, I think. And then I came back and got suspended when I got back home for a month. So I got kicked out of the SACA for a month and then had to go and train on my own. And then obviously Dad jumped in again. Russell jumped in for that month too. I was allowed to play club cricket, but I wasn't allowed to train at the SACA. Had to train on my own. Had to do all my fitness work on my own. And then, so I scored a couple of hundreds for club cricket in that period. And then the day I came back, I had to do a fitness test. I did a skin folds fitness test. And Dizzy was the only person who turned, like, no one knew really what was happening. And Diz was like, when are you doing this? When are you doing this? I'm like, oh, I'm meant to be doing it here. He's right. And it was off-site. It wasn't in Adelaide. It was off-site. And I think Dizzy must have been Aussie contractor still because the boys were training. But he turned up with me and did a fitness test with me and sort of got me through the yo-yo, I think it was. Got me through yo-yo test. And that Friday night I played. So I got picked straight away to play the one-day game. Yeah, so I got picked, fitness test on the Monday, Queensland on the Friday, but only got picked for the one-day game. Friday night under lights, Adelaide Oval, it was sort of like, right, I'm going to make a statement tonight. I only got 100 and we won the game. We chased 250 down. I think I took a hanger in the outfield, got 100, and it was like, right, I'm back. And I don't reckon I played the next Shield game. I reckon they still left me out the next Shield game, or I may have opened the batting. I'm not sure if it was the next one or one after. And it was sort of that year was more of a, right, I'll show you how good I am kind of year. On the back of, I don't know, I felt like I was left out to dry for a bit, if that makes sense. I knew teammates and stuff were there for me, but I felt like I got left out to dry a little bit considering what happened the season before, if that made sense.
I think many people rise to the occasion when it comes to experiencing certain adversities. And so I think that's probably what happened in your situation where, you sort of stepped up and wanted to challenge, or you felt challenged in a way, the odds stacked against you and sort of pushed through and score and prove everyone wrong sort of thing. So I know in the following season as well, you'd scored your highest first class knock of 233 for Glamorgan. So I wanted to kind of talk about because you've scored many hundreds, you scored a double hundred. What is the advice you'd give to batsmen when it comes to scoring big, or something that they can implement in the game that will allow them to them to score big hundreds?
Just don't get bored. Pretty much. Once you're 100, like you're the only person getting yourself out. I think. Look, I made one double hundred and a couple of 180s. Even like that 200, I got stumped first ball to day two. Like it's sort of, for me, whatever's got you to 80, 90, 100, it's going to work for another bit. It's going to keep working till you sort of give them a chance to get you out, if that makes sense. You want to make big scores, just don't get bored. Just keep taking your singles, keep knocking around, put away the bad ball, but don't go hunting for sort of going out your box, going out your cricket box, if that makes sense. But just keep doing what you're doing. Like whatever you're doing is working. Just keep doing that.
In the few seasons after as well, like T20 cricket started, really taking off. And there was a season in 2009, 2010 in the Big Bash, you'd scored 42 of 29, playing alongside big hitters like Shahid Afridi and Pollard. So what's your recollection of those times playing alongside such T20 superstars, and what did you learn from them?
No, that was awesome. We had, and you throw Tatey back in that team as well. Like, we had an awesome team at that stage. I think we lost the finals of Victoria. That was the first year we sort of took a T20 seriously. I think the Champions Trophy was that year. I think we'd played 2 or 3 seasons beforehand, and it was sort of Mickey Mouse, go and have some fun. But that was the first year. It was like we can go and play for $1 million over in the Champions League in South Africa. So that was the first year we went, right, let's do this properly. We had Afridi and Pollard as our overseas players. And it was awesome. Like I was lucky enough. I think I batted 4 or 3, and I had Pollard or Afridi or both of them behind me. And my job was just to go at 120. Like that, all I needed to do was get them on strike. Put the odd boundary away, but get them on strike because they could get balls further than I could. And it was the atmosphere as well. It was the first time you get the sellout crowds at Adelaide Oval. It was a good time. It was good comp. It was awesome fun, especially have those two in the change rooms. And you see those blokes now, and they say good day, and they still say it was some of the best times I've had because it wasn't sort of the high intensity cricket. It was still a bit of fun, a bit of fun. Where now it's high pressure, high intensity. But yeah, back then they were good fun. It was awesome. You'd have a period of 6 weeks playing T20s, and it was, you'd have Freddie fly in and Pollard fly in, and it just gave your squad a different look and new fresh faces just halfway through the year. It just gives you a bit of a boost, and it was an awesome time, I reckon, for Australian cricket at that stage.
That same year as well, you made your ODI debut for Australia against Bangladesh, where you scored 74-69. I know you. I listened to another interview you did, and you talked about how I think was it Gilchrist came up to you and allowed you to open the batting because Bangladesh were skilled in that game. So if you would have probably gotten the opportunity to bat if you batted in your kind of normal position in that team. To give a bit of context, my background, I'm Bangladeshi, so I follow all of Bangladesh cricket. So when you got the call up, what was the experience like, and what were the emotions like, and what sort of adjustments did you have to make? Because you're playing at Fatullah as well, so obviously different conditions as opposed to in Australia and England, where you probably primarily played your cricket. So did you kind of do go through a lot of training when it comes to facing left arm orthodox or spin bowling. What kind of stuff went on at that period in order to allow you to do well on your debut?
No, not really. I was playing for Glamorgan at that time in county cricket. So it's a funny story, to be fair. I reckon we must have won that game. We went out to town. We had a team night out in town, and obviously the time difference between Australia and England is quite big. And I got a phone call, and this is how old it was. It was the old landline phones. And I must have got home about 2 a.m. Phone rang about 3, so I'd sort of been asleep, tossing and turning. Phone rang, answered the phone, and it was Cricket Australia saying, "Oh, look, you've been picked to play for Australia. We need you to fly out tomorrow, straight to Bangladesh. So we'll fax everything to the club. Your flights will be there, and all your gear will meet you in Bangladesh. So I think it was there for two weeks. So you're there for 2 weeks, then we'll fly you back to Glamorgan." I'm like, "All right, cool, no worries." Put the phone down, back to sleep. Wake up about 7 and like, did I dream that, or what's happening here? So I had no real recollection of. Had no message on my phone saying congratulations or nothing like that. So I'm like, oh, maybe I did dream that. Oh, anyway, so I went down to the club, down to Glamorgan, and they sort of said, "Oh, here's your emails, here's your tickets." I was like, "Oh, gee, I better go pack my bag." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I haven't packed yet." And they're like, "Your flight's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon." I was like, "Oh, we're 2 hours away from the airport here." So I had to race back, quickly pack a bag, and then jump on the flight. But yeah, so I didn't really have much lead into it. I got there the day Dizzy made 200. Yeah, so that was pretty cool to walk in the change room with those blokes. Was awesome. Like, there was only one seat available when I got there. I sort of left my bag outside the change rooms and sort of ducked my head in to see who was around. And there was one chair in the corner on its own. He had sort of Warren on one side and Haydos on the other side, which I'd played Shield cricket against the year before, and had a run in with probably both of them. Not running, but some words with both of them. So Haydos was like, "Oh, young'un, come sit over here." So sat between these two. It was awesome. It was amazing the way they sort of accepted me straight away. And it was cool. I know we I reckon we had probably 3 or 4 days after that test match before the 1 day game. And we played won the first 2 1-dayers. And then we were at team dinner, and Merv Hughes was like, "You're playing tomorrow." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You're in." I was like, "Oh, awesome. How good is this going to be?" He goes, "You're bat 6, you're in." I'm like, "Yeah, no problems. Bat wherever you want. I was just going to make runs." Lost a toss bowling, and it was hot. It was a proper hot day there. I remember coming off, I bowled him out for 120. I reckon he still faced 40 overs. I don't think we knocked you over that quick. I think it grinded out to about 40 overs. I was like, 126 or 120 odd. I'm like, probably didn't fall down. I may get a hit. I may get a hit. Maybe. And then Gilly, as we walk on the field, Gilly's come up and was like, "You want to open the batting today?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Leave with me. You can open the batting." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I went up. They're like, "Yeah, go for it." I reckon I batted the first 2 overs without the sight screen. And the keeper was like, "You want to move the sight screen?" And like, first straight away, I was like, "Mate, piss off. Like, just let me watch the ball." And then it's like, he goes, "I can't see. You need to move the sight screen." I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, and the sight screen's over for the right arm quick. And I think like Bingham or something must have been the last over. And then it was like, "Oh yeah, can I get the like 2 overs in? It's like, can I get the sight screen moved?" But for me, it was just focusing on the ball. And it sort of just, I don't remember much about how I played. I obviously played reasonably well, but I wouldn't say I remember game plans or how I wanted to bat. It was more like just hit the ball, mate, and score. The only thing I do remember is when Brad Hogg batted 3. I think I got out trying to hit. I think we needed 1 to win. I think I tried to hit a 6, got bowled. And I was walked off. He's like, I'll get your stump. I'm like, all right, no worries. And then and then it was just one of those games where everything came together and just clicked, and and just got some runs, which was awesome. And and the rest was man the match, and it was cool.
Yeah, that's amazing because that was a very interesting series with, as you mentioned, Dizzy's 200. There was a few. That was actually a close match. I think the first Test match as well. And then Gilchrist had to come in and
Yep.
save the day. So very interesting series, and
Yep.
it's amazing that you're also part of that. And the next season as well, in 2010, 2011, you top scored in Shield cricket and won the competition for Tasmania. So what was that experience like? I think you shifted to Tasmania by then as well. And there was a game where you come in at 3 for 26 and scored 159 runs under pressure. So, a lot of, I'm sure, memorable innings in that particular series. So, walk us through that period and, winning the competition for Tasmania.
Yeah, I think obviously got left off the South Australian list that year, and found a new home down in Tasmania. So I was over in Glamorgan, so I didn't do pre-season with Tassie as I was playing for Glamorgan. So I sort of got there late. But if you go back to the Under-19 World Cup team, you had Bailey, Doherty, Payne was around my age, Luke Butterworth my age, Hilfy probably a year older than me, Brett Jeeves I went to the academy with. So I sort of knew Tasmania really well. They had a really good team, and it was sort of like, well, I know most of them. My best mate just played for Tassie. He just came home. So I sort of, my girlfriend at the time, wife now, sort of knew the girls there. It was a really easy fit to sort of fit in down in Tassie. So for me, picking Tassie was more picking a group that, one, that were my age, and two, that I knew that I could easily fit into. So for me, going to Tassie, not doing pre-season, that was going to be the hardest part wherever I moved. But you didn't have that 3-4 months of time where you can get your teammates through the easy part of the season where there's no pressure or external pressure from games. So I think I got to Tassie. I don't know if I went to pre-season camp. Got to Tassie late, and we were Queensland first game of the year. Complete washout, 4 days washed out. So I sort of got to know everyone then, which was really good. That was probably the best thing for me, to have that Queensland game washed out. So you basically spend 4 days in the change rooms. So you got to know the boys really well in a confined space. Kids were playing cricket indoors, playing cards, joking around, and you'd go and have a beer that night and sort of mingle. So you sort of got to know them really well there. Then our second game was Victoria away in Victoria, and so I think Sid's got a couple early, or Pato got a couple early, and we're in a bit of trouble. And then I think even Travis Bird got 70 odd that game as well. And I think we were sort of fighting for the same spot in the batting order. So it was good to make runs early. Like I said before, getting runs early in the season or in the competition and riding that wave. And it's making that big score, second game for Tasmania, sort of got me going, got me in that wave. And just everything just rolled on from then. We probably weren't the best team that year on paper, but we sort of all the same, mate, all 25, 26, all ready to hit our peak. And we sort of all did it all together, and it just took off. I think we won the Shield that year. We went to Queensland, lost it the year after, and won it the year after that. So the 3 years that we were together, it was, an exceptional 3 years. So you had Ed Cowell in there, you had Silky sort of came in for that second one. Alex Dorland played Test cricket. Bales ended up playing Test cricket. Dowie, Frazier was around the mark. Hilfenhaus, Bird, Luke Butterworth was around the mark. Tim Payne, James Faulkner was in that side. John Wells, like it's sort of that group of players all starting to hit their straps all together at the same time, and we just end up winning. We end up believing we could win, even that Shield final, that first one, I was staying with Luke Butterworth at that stage. I remember driving home on day 2, I reckon, day 1, day 2. And it's like, you don't lose. They made 420, I reckon, first innings. And we're like, you don't lose too many games. You make 420 first innings, do you? He's like, nah. I was like, oh, gee, we're pushing it uphill. And I think we ended up, maybe had a 40-run lead at the end of that day, or end of probably day 3. And I was sort of like, oh, we got ourselves out of jail here. And I think they said us 240 to win, 260 to win. And we had to bat 10 overs that night, and we're none for 30. I think they dropped 2 or 3 catches that night, and we went in none for 30, needing 190 to win. It was just like, oh, geez, that could have got tight. But just the way we played that season was always like, well, we deserve to win this, and we sort of knew that we deserved to win it. I can't remember. Dawes must have got some run. Dawes must have got 40. So I ended up with 40 as well. So it's 80. Someone else must have got 50 odd. Maybe Ed got a 50 odd as well in the second innings. He got 100 first innings. But yeah, we were just Ed Cowan was another one in that era as well. It was just one of those eras where Tassie had picked up some really good players, but they also produced their own home cricketers as well.
In the following season as well, when you're playing for Tasmania, you're playing alongside Ricky Ponting. So what was that experience like?
Yeah, awesome. So I'd played with Punter, obviously, with the Aussie stuff, and played against him for SA. And then to be in the same change room. That year, he didn't play. Probably played four games that year, I reckon. Or maybe 5, actually. And it was awesome. He was... What people see of him as an Australian captain and what people see of him as a person, they're completely different people. You know, he wanted the perception of him being Australian captain. That's what he wanted to be, that kind of captain. But he definitely wasn't that kind of person. Like he would have a joke. He was lighthearted. He was fun. He'd always have us round. We'd go to Sydney. I think that year we beat Sydney. We beat Sydney that year. Or maybe it was the first year. And it was like we shouldn't have won. We were 8 down. Luke Butterworth got 60 odd, I reckon. Adam Maher got 15, batting at 11. And Punter was like, if you boys win today, you can come back to mine for barbie and beers. We're like, yep. And as soon as we get over the line, he's just like, right, I better order all that stock. And like he was so generous, he's like, yep, come to his house. And yeah, he was so generous of like doing that kind of stuff. Every time I went to Sydney, he'd like, right, barbecue at mine or this and that. So he definitely cared for Tasmanian cricket. He cared for the people who were around him playing for Tasmania as well, which was awesome. He was fantastic. He challenged the group a lot as well, which was good. Like at that stage, I don't think Bowles had played for Australia. Dawes hadn't played for Australia. I think Ed just got in. I reckon Ed just got in, but he was challenging the blokes to not just be happy of winning the Shield, but right now we've got to get better again. We got better again, and he was awesome at that, challenging all the batters to, 800. Let's get 950 next year. He was awesome at that, and you never want. And obviously Ricky Ponting, so you're never wanting to let him down. And us knowing that he'd never won a Shield or never won a trophy for Tasmania, definitely drove us to, really make sure he got one. We tied a final in SA. This be 10, 11, 11, 12. The one-day final out here, we tied it out here at Adelaide Oval, which for us was lucky because I reckon if he'd have won that, I think he would have been happy. We tied that, and I reckon it made him play the year after with us in 12-13, which we won the Shield as well.
It's amazing, and I might wrap up with asking you 2 more questions. But thank you so much for your time and sharing your insights and experiences about your career and within cricket. My 2 questions basically: who's the best batsman you have seen? Either it could be a teammate or opposition, like you're on the same field with, where you're just like, wow, this guy's amazing. I know you mentioned Shaun Marsh, but yeah, like if anyone else comes to mind on that front? And also, who's the best bowler you face as well?
It'd be hard to go past Darren Lehmann or Ricky Ponting as the best batters. I played T20 against Bubba. He was amazing. But just a longevity, those two for me are probably the benchmarks. Brian Lara. I played against Brian Lara. For me, he was my idol. He's the best batter I've ever seen and ever played against.
When did you play against Brian Lara?
We played West Indies in Malaysia.
In the DLF Cup, was it?
DLF, yeah. I think Shandable got 100. They beat us, to be fair. I think Shandable got 100. It was drizzly, rainy all day, and it was sort of Shandable won. Yeah, got him 100 and won the game. But yeah, Lara. Yeah, sorry. Lara would be the one. Like he what he did for me is like got the most runs ever. Hayden took it over, and then he went to go again and get it again. Yeah, I think Lara only played against him once, twice, maybe. But yeah, the other two playing with for a fair bit of time. You could see that those two were both head and shoulders above anyone who had played with before. So bowling wise, like I said, Tait is the fastest I've ever seen. He was those years 05 to 010, 2005 to 2010. That he was easily the best bowler in the world by a mile. He was bowling 140, 150, 155, swinging the red ball around. I think everyone forgets how skillful he was. He got the ball to swing. He got to go in reverse. For me, Tait was as good as you've seen going around. He'd be my first pick in any franchise cricket at that stage. And then 5 years, he was awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. And must have been, I don't know if you, because I know they obviously played with him from a young age. So were you facing him in the nets quite a lot?
Yeah. Me and Tait had a good relationship. Like, he talked at our wedding. So we had a sort of a pat. He'd keep it in my half and I won't hit it back at him. So, but if he didn't like it, he'd let you know in the nets. We had a couple of run-ins on the cricket field in club cricket. But yeah, we're good fun. Facing someone like Tait, if it's not fun, you're going to get hurt. It needs to be fun. Like I was say, any young cricketer, when it's tough, you got to enjoy it. Because that's why you play the game. You play the game to test yourself, and just keep testing yourself as you go through. If it's easy and it's boring and it's not exciting or not challenging enough, that's got to be boring. You got to keep going, keep testing yourself further and further. And facing Tait in the nets or facing Tait in games, that's a proper test, and it was fun. Like we'd niggle each other all game, but it was good fun.
Yeah, appreciate sharing all those thoughts and experiences. Before I wrap up, I don't know if you had any sort of final thoughts you wanted to share that we might have missed asking you about.
We covered a lot there. No, I think that's about it. I mean, one thing I did for my cricket, I played because I loved it. I played because it was fun. I always enjoyed going out, getting in the battle. But yeah, I never thought it as a job. It's something that I enjoyed. It was fun walking on the field with whoever I was playing with. You always had 11 mates who you could walk on the field with, and all having a common goal to win that game or win that series or whatever it was. So, like I said, for any young kid, just have fun, enjoy it. You're going to make a duck. You're going to get 100. Just stay level. It's not the end of the world. There's a lot of other things in the world that are more important than a game of cricket. So, just enjoy it for what it is and work hard. If you want to play Test cricket, you got to work hard, but enjoy working hard to reach your goal.
Yeah, great advice. And sometimes, like you mentioned, we might make it more than it kind of is. At the end of the day, it's just a cricket game. You're not dictated by your stats and your average. You play. People remember how you play, as opposed to the statistics and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate your time so much. And just to wrap up on the podcast, if people want to check out our content, we're on Spotify, YouTube. You can check our videos out there as well. And we're on Instagram. We're on TikTok as well, and Facebook. Check us out, support us, like us, and I make a lot of clips as well on social media. So give us a like and check out all our other clips and episodes with other guests we've had. So from our special guest, Mark Cosgrove, we wish you all the best. This is Tanzan signing off. Thank you very much.